Hi everyone. Today we'll be discussing a Unit 4 paper. This is 2020 June paper. The same paper was used as the 2020 October paper. So let's get started. So these are the instructions. Every paper has the same instructions. And this is the scenario. Pause the video and you can read the scenario. All right. So then if we move on to our first few questions, these are validation questions. In a previous video, I mentioned that too. A trainer table in the cycling database needs to be improved. A trainer record must not be saved without a name being present. Set up a presence check so that the name of a trainer must be present. Screen print the table in design view. Make sure that the presence check can be clearly seen. All right. So now let's go to the database. And like I've mentioned before, they always provide us with one table. So this will be doing all the validations on this table. So now if I go to design view, so you can see trainer ID, that's primary key, it's a number field, and then it uses a number data type, and then trainer name, email, telephone, days available per week. So what they wanted us to do was to add a presence check to the trainer name. Yeah. So first you select that record, you go to this. So here you can see validation rule. The validation rule is not null, and then the validation text, would be something simple like trainer name must be present, input trainer name, enter your name. Anything would do. Just make sure you put the validation text. Okay. And then, so that is one way of doing it. There's another way of doing this, which is here you can see required. It says no. You can change this to yes. But also remember now in the question paper, this question has been allocated with 2 marks. So one goes to the validation rule and one goes to the validation text. If you don't use the validation rule method and only put required yes, you will only get 1 mark. So safe side, I just do both. I put required yes and I put a validation rule as well. It's not like you score an extra mark by doing both, but it's not like it takes you a lot of time, so might as well do both. Right. And then, so we have to take the screenshot. So I've mentioned, so just like the question has mentioned, you need to clearly show your validation rule. So when you take your screenshot, I suggest you to minimize your screen so that all of this space can be removed and your screenshots will be smaller and will fit into the Word document easily. So let me minimize my screen, then adjust it a bit like so. Alright, so now let me show you my Word document. So this is my Word document. Make sure you fill these information. I'm gonna paste my screen print here like so. And if you feel like the screen print is too small, you can drag it a bit. You know, just make it easy for your examiner to mark it. So, when it's easier, even they feel good about your paper. I mean, after all, even they're humans. So, 2 marks are done. And also make sure to resave your document in that format they had asked you to. So let's move on to the next part of the question. Set up a list check on the days available per week so that only 1, 2, 3, or 4 days per week are accepted. Screen print the table in design view. Okay, so let's go back to our database. So days available per week, they want us to put a list check. So you can't do it with these general formattings. You should go to lookup, and then currently display control is a text box. So put that down and change it to a combo box. So the difference between a list box and a combo box is that in a list box, the users can add new um, points or like new numbers. So in this case, we should limit it to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are only values that can be input. But if we make this a combo box, people can add things to the list. So basically, if I make this a list box, it won't limit numbers from 1 to 4. People even can enter 5, 6, 7. So in this case, I don't see the point of putting a list box because there are no new um, entries. So let's make it a combo box so that the number of inputs is limited to 4. So then row source type, put it to value list because you're going to be providing the list. And then in row source type the inputs, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Also remember, in between each, in between two inputs, you should use semicolon, not a comma. So save it, and you might get a message. Put no. Doesn't really make a difference to the database. It's just that it warns us. So now take your screen print, minimize the screen. Let me show you guys in a bit what it looks like. Oh, also, before I take the screen print, there's another thing that we need to do, which is here. So when we provide the list, there's this another field called limit to list, like right here. Limit to list, change it to yes. Because the purpose of us putting a list check is not important. So make sure, so now when you're taking a screenshot, make sure that you capture that as well. Now if I show you my Word document, and always keep in mind, after you paste something or you change a document in any form, just keep clicking Control S. So in case even if your computer, if something happens to your computer, your work is still there. So that is important. And also, like now, as you can see, when I put the second screen print, the question number is here and the screen print went down. So, if I just want to make it look better or I just want to make it easier for the examiner, I'm just gonna click enter and just take the question also to the next page. So, it looks better and it looks nice. And you're just making it easier for your examiner, which they would love to see. And then, so let's move on to the next question, which is a form. The form is obviously made based on the table that they have provided us. So let's first see the question. So this is the question. It has 9 marks. That's a lot of marks. So when scoring this type of questions, the first thing that you should um, try to get right is just make sure you complete all these bullet points that they have mentioned. And secondly, make sure that you provide with all the necessary um, screen prints. Well, in form view, that's going to be one screen print. But then in design view, there's going to be many screen prints. So make sure that you don't miss out on those important design view screen prints. Also, when taking the form view screen print, make sure you show the number of pages at the bottom, which I will show you while doing the question. Okay. Anne needs a form to enter data about a new trainer. The form must open ready for data entry, generate the trainer ID, which is one number higher than the number currently used, allow the input of trainer details, press a button that displays a message to Anne asking if she wants to save the input information, saves it in the table if she does, create a user-friendly data entry form for the trainer table that will allow Anne to add new records to the database. So now while you're reading this question, if there are any important information like that you want to make sure that you aren't gonna miss out on, highlight them, underline them, anything that works for you, just make sure that you don't miss out on those important information. Okay, so now let's move to our database. All right, so now I out this. Let's go to create. So we have done a few past papers, and so right now you should be clear as to how you're going to create a query, a form, a report. So, while you're reading the question, try to kind of visualize it in your head. Like, okay, these are the steps that I should do. This is the type of macro I'm going to use. This is how the data will be seen. This is how I'm going to align the data. So, kind of visualize on while you're reading the question. So, it makes it easier for you to do the question. So now let's use form wizard. There's only one table, so yes, we're taking all fields. Next, next, and what type of title you want to give. So I prefer, when you see your tables, forms, queries on this side, I prefer to see them with the name and the question number, which makes it easier for me. So I'll type Q1B because this is the second question of the first paper, dash, and then give a name for the form, which is register new trainer. All right, so you can go to modify the form's design or like open the form to view or enter information. So finish. I prefer first seeing the form, so then I know, okay, this is not how it should look like. These are the changes that I should be done. So first look at this. Okay, so now when I look at this, I can see there are data already entered. I know that I should remove them, and then I should align this. I should add instructions. I should make these trainer ID and automatically trainer ID is not entered by the user, so I should generate it. So now this is not a data entry form. As you can see, the record number changes as I click the arrow. So now let's go to design view and let's take bullet point by bullet point. So first they wanted us to make this a data entry form. Also, another point that I wanted to emphasize on is when I do papers, I personally prefer to first do the question, like do that section. Like in this case, I'll do part 1B. After doing the entire question, I'll be taking screen prints. But if you feel like you can miss out on screen prints or like, that's possible because once you're done with the question, you kind of feel you can tend to forget what screen prints you should take. So after every single important adjustment you do, like for example, like going to form properties, data, and then changing this to a data entry field, like yes, here it says data entry, no, we're changing it to a yes. So you can miss out on this screen print. So maybe when you do an important change, you can take the screen print that instant, but I, as a person, prefer to take all my screen prints at once, like at once after I'm done with the question, because I feel like it's easier that way. and less time consuming. So select whatever way that suits you. I can help you with different kinds of ways to do it. Okay, so we change this to data entry. So when taking the screen print, make sure to show the important ones. In this case, this is a small screen print, so it can easily put everything in it. This is form view. Make sure you put it in the design view, like so. I'm not gonna adjust this yet, like I showed you earlier how I brought the question down as well. But in this case, there's another screen print to come. I'll adjust it after everything is done, right? And then also keep in mind, I said this earlier as well. Keep in mind that the designing changes that you do here also get marks allocated. So for example, now here, I'll be removing the question number. That's not necessary. Um, so when I say design changes, it's like making this heading center aligned, and then look when you look at these input fields, as you can see, trainer name, that's a very massive field. Trainer name does not require that much space, so you can adjust it to like here. And then email can be longer than a name, so make keep it a bit longer. And then phone number is obviously not this long because it has a standard um, length. If you're not sure as to like how much space or like how big the element should be, you can go back to the table, refer to the table, see like, you can roughly see the length of each field. So that can help you to get an idea, right? And then this is just one number, so I'll make it the smallest field and then make these closer. And then also about the instructions. So I prefer putting, I mean, it kind of gives a better understanding about the form. So I'll take all of this down. It can be a very simple instruction. So for example, um, what do I say? Something like enter new trainers details here. You can also add the fact. So like the question says that the trainer ID should be automatically generated. You can mention that as well so that people know that they don't have to be bothered about that field. Trainer ID will be automatically made by the system. So this will do. And then the next one that you should focus on is these. You should make these meaningful. So when I mean meaningful, it's about keeping spaces. So trainer ID, between trainer and ID, put a space. And then the second one, trainer name, put a space. Because, in the tables, you don't keep spaces between them. So because we took these from the table, it comes in the table form. Days, space available, space per space, and week. There you go. So if I look at this now you can see the data entry form. It says 1 of 1. Um, Now if you refer back to the question, just to remind, you can keep on referring to the question. So this is done. The next one is generate trainer ID, which is one number higher than the number currently used. Okay. Go back to the table. I'll go to design view, select trainer ID. So open your property sheet. So on the trainer ID data, uh, in default value. So this is I feel like this will be a long like a code kind of. So when you click on these three dots, you get like a wider space. So for me, I prefer a bigger space to write things or type things. So it's easier for me to get things out of my head kind of. So equals D max. Make sure so when you click D and M, then rest comes. But don't forget to put the D because there's another function called max. So the way they work is different. So D max, and then in brackets we have to put the field name and the table name. So first you put the field name, which is trainer ID, not trainer ID label, it's trainer ID, and then comma, and then again the table name, which is PBL trainer. Also make sure that so you have dmax because it's a function, you put brackets, and then within the brackets you first put field name, which is trainer ID, and then comma table name, which is table trainer. Also keep in mind that both the field name and table name must be square brackets. All right. So now, since we are making the next ID, so in this function, what happens is this will access the last primary key, the last value in the trainer ID field. So this is not the answer, but if I show you what this gives to me in the form view, if I go to table trainer, it's 10. Well, that should be an error. All right, guys. So this is the mistake that I had done. So for the field name and table name, make sure you put double quotes. So dmax, open brackets and close brackets. Between the brackets, you open double quotes, put trainer ID, and then close double quotes. Then comma, open double quotes, table name within square brackets, and then close double quotes, and then +1. So if I show you what the end result is like, so even you can forget this, but I mean, you can still, kind of figure it out. Like put a quote, put a double quote. It's something with those small details that can make the code go wrong. Okay, so if I show you the form view now, so now it gives me 11. So if you look at the table, there were 10 trainer IDs. So 11 is the next one. So we got that right. So if I go to design view, now when you're taking the screenshot of this one, make sure um I mean, if you take the whole screenshot from like of this whole property sheet, you know that it's from the trainer ID, but I personally prefer to take my property sheet here so that I can take a screen print of this entire thing. So let me take the screenshot and show you guys what it looks like. Also, before I take the screenshot, my bad, I forgot to mention, make sure that, so because it's automatically generated by the system, um, in this field enable make it no, so that field will be shown gray to the user and the user will know that they don't have to like it's impossible to enter data. So now when I take the screen print, This is what it's gonna look like. Yep. Okay. So that's that, and let's move on to the next part of the question. So the third bullet point is allow the input of trainer details. So basically the rest is allowed. We didn't disable those. And provide a button that displays a message to Anne asking if she wants to save the input information, saves it in the table if she does. Okay, so previously I think we did a question where we typed message box, so like MESSAGEBOX. But this is kind of different. So if I go to my design view, um, I'll bring this bit down, put a button. It doesn't have to be big. So cancel, and then here I'm going to put save, and then double click, I'm sorry, right click, build event, macro. So here what we're going to do is, again, so when you're taking screen prints of your macro, so here it says command 12, which I feel like is not very suitable. So let me first close this, and under the properties of save button, uh, I'll change the name. So here this is the name of it. I will save it to save button because that will make more sense. So now if I go to build event and macros, it says save button on click. So this looks more user friendly. So now what we're going to do is, instead of the typical message box, we're going to put MSG box. So capital MSG BOX. Alright guys, so I know what went wrong. So if you remember the question, let me show you the question. It says display a message to Anne asking if she wants to save the input information. So it's not like you're directly going to save the information. So when you click on the button, it will first show us something like an alert box asking, do you want to save this information? And then it will give you two options as yes or no. Um, so it's basically like a if function, like if yes, save, if no, then don't save, kind of. So first you have to put a if function. If, then this is the syntax. So capital M S G, capital B O X, capital B simple O X, and then within brackets, you're gonna have two things. So first you're going to put the text that you're gonna ask within double quotes. Do you want to save this information? Close double quotes, comma, 4. Now, what does this 4 mean? 4 is like an inbuilt function that Access already provides us. So, by 4, it means that it's a yes-no question. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So within the brackets, we are basically mentioning what should be shown on that alert box. So message box, so question, and by 4, it means the two buttons, yes and no. Equals 6. 6 is yes and 7 is no. So 4 says is like when you take the two buttons together, the yes and no button together is a 4. And when our selection is a yes, so yes is displayed by 6. When our selection is yes, um, so if our answer is yes, as in if the user clicks yes, then save record. So basically, that's all they have told us to do. Um, I also prefer to, they haven't asked us for anything else, but I also prefer to put a message box. So this is a normal message box saying your data has been recorded, right? And then it has asked for an else, like, if they click no, no is equal to 7. At else, you can put go to record, which really, and then change this next to a no. So that will clear the form, all the information that has been input. So I'll save this. Before you take the screenshot of this, you close it and you try out the database if this works to see if it actually works. Okay, so trainer ID is 11, we have that. And then trainer name, and then email, telephone, days available. So save. Do you want to save this information? If I click yes, your data has been recorded. Okay, so let's go to our table and it has been recorded. Just This is just a trial. Make sure you delete this because whenever you use the table trainer in the future for other for the other questions of this paper, this will be a error. So I delete that record. And now if I could save, and do you want to save this information? No, it's all cleared. So this is what we wanted. Now I close this. Okay. So now it's time to take the screenshots. I'll go to design view. So we did major changes to the button. Right. Let me show you the candidate template. Paste it. So this is what it looks like. Make sure that you also include this heading so the user knows where it's headed to. Constantly keep clicking Control S and make sure that your work is saved. Okay. And now we have to, so we did provide the button. Okay, so we're done with the form. Now we have to take the form view screenshot. So let's close this. I will go to form view. Also, um, you can take a screen print of this as well, like this design view. But at the same time, I feel like it's not very necessary because this is the same as what is in the form view. But if you feel like you want to, just go ahead. It's not like they'll cut marks for putting that screen print. Okay. So now here in the form view, as I mentioned earlier, make sure you take this record count so that it's 1 of 1 that also represents the data entry form. So I'll minimize the screen and take a screen print. Let me show you what it looks like. So we go up and we paste it here. That wasn't the best screen print. Let me take it again. Yep, that looks better. And the question and everything has gone down as I wanted to, so there's nothing changed. All right. So we're done with 1B. That's a 9-mark question. And also why I'm telling you to put all these screen prints is because the examiner doesn't really check your database. They purely give marks based on what is in the candidate template. So you might as well put all the screen prints that you have, but don't put unnecessary screen prints because you're wasting time by taking those useless screen prints. All right. So now let's move on to the next question. So this is a question where you have to type your answer here. Um, so if we go back to the question, this is also a 9-marker. Anne has been told that the stored data in the table trainer, the trainer table is not suitable for the processing she requires. She would like to be able to send an email to a trainer using their primary email address and their first name. And also, she would like to telephone a trainer as and when required. The structure of the database and the accuracy of data are not suitable for the processing she requires. Analyze the data and recommend how the structure of the database and the accuracy of data can be improved to allow processing she requires. All right. So there are two processes. One, she would like to be able to send an email to a trainer using their primary email address and their first name, and then telephone a trainer as and when required. So there are three main fields that we should focus here, which is the email, first the name, and the telephone number. So if we go back to our database, let me close this and let's open our table trainer. All right, so as you can see, first let's take the email. Just read through a few of these records. Now, when you look at the first record, we can identify which email is the primary email because they have mentioned. Second one also, we can see which one is the primary email. But third one, there are just links. It's not given as to which one is primary email or whatnot. Um, third one also, it's just emails. And then in the sixth record, if you can see, there's like two emails, and then from our primary, we don't know which one is actually the primary email. So it's not in a proper form. So when I first attempted this question, I thought, maybe they could put two separate fields called primary email and secondary email. But at the same time, a user can have more than two emails, right? So in that case, how many fields are we willing to put as email one, email two, email three? You can't do that. So in this case, there's a relationship. So there's a one-to-many relationship from trainer to email. So whenever there's a one-to-many relationship, we will take it to to another table. Imagine if we kept it in the same table where, so for each email, we make a new record. Like for example, if we take the first one, so trainer ID 1, trainer name, Sheree Isaac, and then the first row will have the first email, which is sasic or telegraph.co.uk, and then the next record, the second record, will put Sheree Isaac telegraph.co.uk. Now, when we put two records, the trainer ID will be repeated, which um, you know IDs which are primary keys cannot be repeated. That's a primary rule. So basically, when normalizing, we've always learned that it's important to make these values atomic. Atomic as in one record, inside one cell, there's one data. So like in one cell, in this case, there should be one email address. So because it's not possible to do it here, we are going to take it to a new table. So we'll be removing the email field from this table trainer. We'll make a new table called table email, and under table email, we'll put an ID. We can call it email ID. And then we can put a foreign key called trainer ID. So foreign keys can be repeated, that's not a problem. And then for each email, we'll have a separate record. And then we'll have another field saying, like, is this a primary email? Um, like you don't have to say it as a question. You can put the field name would be primary, and then we can have it as a yes no field. So if it is the primary email, the user can tick it. If not, if it's not the primary email, they can untick it. So this way, redundancy is less. There will be no problems with primary keys or anything. So first of all, what you're going to write is you're going to write the problem. Why is it a problem? Why we cannot put separate fields? Because one person has more than one or two emails. And then the fact that we can't understand which one is the primary email exactly. Um, some of the emails that they have provided with us are not emails, they're just links. So first you mentioned all these questions as I explained to you, and then you give them the suggestion, okay, we are going to take this to another table. Then you just don't say a new table. You can also mention we're going to take this to a new table called table email. And on the table email, we will be having these fields like email ID, which will be the primary key. Then we'll be having the trainer ID, which is a foreign key, so that we can recognize which trainer's email it is. Then we'll have a field called email, which will have one email per record. And then we'll have another field said calling it as primary email, and then that will be a yes no field. So if it's the yes, if it is the primary email, it will be yes, but if it's not, it will be no. So that way we can easily see if what the primary email is and what email is not a primary email. So that way, so just like I told you, you should structure answer that way. So that is the email part. Next one is the trainer name. They want to see, they only wanted the first name of the trainer. So as you can see, the first record, it has two names. Second record is only one name. We don't even know if it's the first name or the surname. And then next few records, we do have two names for each record. So you can't really identify which one is the surname, which one is the first name. Because in most countries, you do first and the first name, then the surname. But there are some countries that put their surname at the beginning and their um calling name towards the end. So you don't really know. Therefore, in this case, because it's a one-to-one relationship, you don't have to take it to a new table. In this table itself, you can put two fields as trainer first name and trainer's name. So when she is typing emails and when she wants to refer to the trainer's first name, she can easily do it. So that's that. And then the next part of it was telephone. Now, if you look, so she wants to telephone a trainer as and when required. If you look at the telephone field, um, you can see that that's like the second record. It's not even a telephone number. There's a letter in the middle. There are more than number of characters, and there are some fields that are not even there. So what she can do is put a presence check where it is a must to enter a telephone number, and also put a length check so that they stick to the number of characters. You can put an input mask if you wish to. Don't mention. So currently, if you look at the design view of this, the telephone field is mentioned as short text. Sometimes you might think, okay, let's make this a number, but no, that is entirely wrong. Why? Because some telephone numbers, they have zeros in the beginning. So if you make it a text, they won't allow you to put zeros in the beginning. They'll just remove those zeros and straight away move. to the rest of the phone number. But in order to call the person, you obviously need those first few zeros, first zero or first few zeros. So, so the current data type is correct. What they need to do is set a length check so that the number of characters put into the telephone field is limited. And also you can put an input mask. So we've done input mask where you can specify as to whether it's only a number or it's whether a number or a character in the alphabet. So you can use zero on zero, and towards the end you can use nines. So you can use an input mask. That's all you have to say. So this will be your answer. Just remember, you should first mention the problem, how it affects the database. You can mention queries can't be done smoothly. Um, writing emails will be difficult. So like without identifying the primary email. So like that, first mention the problem, like mention all the problems, and then separately mention the type of suggestions and what type of solutions she can do to minimize this problem. So that is basically your 9 marks. So first, before start typing, structure your answer in your head, or like jot down the points somewhere, uh, and just go for it. All right, so that is that question. Yeah. And then we have our next question. This is the question that has the most number of marks allocated, which is 11 marks. And also keep in mind, if you do not do this 11 marks properly, the rest of the paper is also going to be screwed because it's totally based on what you're going to do here, right? So this is where reading the case is the most important part. So I hope you read the case properly. If you want, you can go back, read the case again, take a screenshot of this case. If you don't understand the case by reading once, read it again and again until you understand, because it is very important, and that's why I'm emphasizing a lot. Okay, so the skills tracking text file is in your examination area. In your examination area is an extract from a cycling tracking spreadsheet that Anne uses to keep record of cyclists and the skills and levels they have achieved. She wants to extend the cycling database so that it can be used for this purpose. Develop the cycling database to add this functionality. You must create efficient data structure that minimizes data duplication, uses correct data types and primary keys, and enforces referential integrity. Produce a screen print that clearly shows the relationships, including table names, field names, and primary keys. All right. So, um, I shall show you the case study again. If you don't remember it entirely, you can take a screen print now or read it now. Pause the video and read it now. Okay, so now that you went through the case, let's go line by line and let's see if the way we understood the case is correct. So some people like to learn cycling skills in order to feel safer cycling outdoors. Simple. And then Anne owns a company that employs trainers to teach cycling skills. Trainers work between 1 and 4 days per week. Trainers teach cyclists the skills over the summer. A trainer teaches many cyclists. A cyclist is taught by one trainer. So from trainer to cyclist, that's a one-to-many relationship. And then a cyclist is taught by one trainer, so that would be a one-to-one relationship. If you want to write this down in your paper, like while in your exam, if you feel like you're about to forget these points while reading the question, write it down from pencil. Just right next to that, like right next to that statement. It's completely fine. There are 19 skills taught. Each skill has an ID and a description. Example, 8 is right turn into a major road. If a cyclist achieves all 19 skills, they achieve advanced level. If a cyclist achieves skills 1 to 13, they achieve intermediate level. If a cyclist achieves skills 1 to 5, they achieve beginner level. If a cyclist has not achieved skills 1 to 5, the level is there, right? So let me ask you a question. If they have achieved six skills, that means they have achieved beginner level, because you can't say intermediate because they haven't achieved all 13 skills yet. Right. And then Anne keeps a list of trainers in a single table within the database cycling. Anne has provided the skills tracking text file, which contains an extract of her records of cyclists and their achievements. Anne is finding it increasingly difficult to keep track of trainers and the achievements of cyclists. Right. So let me show you the Excel file that they have provided us with. Sorry, it's actually a text file, which is this. This is not understandable at all. So first we will extract this data into our database. Okay, so let me first close this, and then, so this is a file which is stored externally, so you should go to external data, and it's a text file, so let's go to text file, and then you should browse to get your text file. All right, so I browsed my file and I'm um, going to import the data. So now this is how you're going to see it. Next. So here, first row contains field names, as you can see, it kind of does. So let's move to the next one. Here, what they provide you is with that, like you can change the data type, but this is not very user friendly for me, so I'll just go to the design view of the table and change it. Also, there's no primary key, so remove that. And yeah, I mean, the primary key fact, it's just that, the imported data, it's very rare that they have primary keys. So by default, it's almost like no primary key. I'll name this as imported data and finish. So if we go back to the question, what they wanted us to do was to understand this case and afterwards create fields, create primary keys, and everything based on the relationships and everything. Okay, so if we come back to the database, so we have our imported data here. So first, look at each field. So we have skills achieved, skill achieved. We have first name, skill, surname, skill ID, cyclist ID, trainer ID, and level achieved. I personally prefer to take a piece of paper and build the relationship while writing it on paper, because then I know that I won't miss out on any field. So basically, now if you look at each field, what do you say? If you look at the field, so skill achieved and then level achieved. Um, when you look at the skill achieved section, like that field, you can see it's just ones and zeros. I have mentioned this in a previous video. So when it's like just ones and zeros, it's very it's possible to be a yes no field. And then we have first name and then we have surname. So because we already have a table trainer, this is not the trainer's information. This is the customer information, basically the cyclist information. So now in my head, I know that we are going to have a cyclist table, and then we have skill ID and skill. So now I know that we will have a skill table, um, and then we will obviously have a child table, which will link each customer with their skills. All right. So now when figuring out what fields come under each table, um, just think about the ones that have one-to-one relationships. So whatever that have one-to-one relationships come in the same table. So first of all, let me go to the design view and change the data types. So skill achieved, I'm going to change that to a yes no field. So now you can see it has tick boxes and untick boxes. And then first name, that's text, text, text. So these three fields will be text for obvious reasons. And then we can see these three can be number fields. So if you go back here, I'm going to change skill ID and skill ID, cyclist ID, and trainer ID to number. Because if you remember from our previous table, the table trainer, if you look at that design view, the trainer ID is number. So we'll be making relationships. So it's important that all fields of the same type are in the same type of data form, because or else queries won't run properly, relationships can't be made. That's gonna be um annoying. So I'll save, and then so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy paste this imported data, external data, right, for the three different tables. So Control C, Control V, and also make sure it's only the structure that you're copying, right? So here it's a table name. I'm gonna first make the table cyclist, right? And then again, I'm gonna do Control C, Control V. I'm gonna put table structure only, okay? And then Control C, Control V, table cyclist, skill. So you can understand that it's the relationship between them. Now the reason as to why we are doing this, like we're putting a separate table for table cyclist skill, is because it's a many-to-many relationship. I mean, think about it. One cyclist can achieve more than one skill, and then one skill is achieved by more than one cyclist. So that's a many-to-many relationship, and it's a must to take many-to-many relationships to a different table. So when you take it to a different table, that will be two one-to-many relationships. So when we're making the relationship, you will understand this. So let me first copy this. Right. And now we have tables. So these are the tables that I made. So first, let's edit the two parent tables, which is table cyclist and table skill. Either one would do. So in this case, what you're going to do here is we are going to assign a primary key, which is cyclist ID, right? And then we're going to remove all the other unnecessary information. Skill achieved is a field that will come for uh, TBL cyclist skill. So let's remove that. First name must be there. Skill is something that will go to table skill. Surname must be there. Skill ID, no. So whenever you're removing IDs, it will give you this message. Just, do you want to delete this field anyway? Yes. And then trainer ID, I'm gonna leave it here because one cyclist is only trained by one trainer. So that's like a one-to-one relationship on the cyclist perspective. Um, but it is a foreign key from the table trainer, which is a one-to-many relationship. Um, yeah, so leave it just that. I prefer taking this up there because, IDs must be at the forefront. It's not a must, but it looks more user-friendly this way. And then let's move on to our next table, which is table skill, design view. Well, in this table, we only need the skill and skill ID. All right, so now again, I'm gonna take this one up, assign it as primary key. And then this is the final table. So in this one, we're obviously gonna have cyclist ID and skill ID. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select both them and make it a primary key. So that is the composite key. And all the other fields can be removed actually. So skill achieved must be there to, if they have achieved it or not. First name is already in a table, so it's in a table, surname's in a table, ID is in a table, level achieved is in a table. Yeah. Okay. So now in question 11, so sorry, in this 11 marker question, you should take the screen prints of each of these tables. So when you're taking screen prints, just make sure the other tables are like not open here. Just take one by one. So let me first close this, save it. And first I'll take a screen print of table cyclist. You're supposed to show data types. So take it like this. Also, taking, after making a table, I suggest you to like reach it with your external data. So you have your external data file, right? So after you put all the fields into the different tables, just cross-check with your original data file to see if you actually put everything. So right now what I'm doing is I'm taking the screen prints of each table. So if I show you my candidate template, these are the tables, right? So this is the place where we are going to put the relationship um, screen print. So it only asks you for the tables that you have made, and this is sufficient. Now let me go and make the relationships between these tables. So how you're going to make the relationships is you have database tools here and it says relationships. So, okay. So now we have all the tables here. I prefer to drag the tables in a way that I can see all the field names. Right. So here you can see we have trainer ID here, so that will be a one-to-many relationship. Enforce these cascade updates and deletes um, create. So that's one-to-many. And then we have this table where we have cyclist ID. That's going to be one-to-many. And the skill ID to skill ID is also one-to-many. Now, as I mentioned earlier, as you can see, it is so if you take within skill ID and cyclist ID, that's a many-to-many relationship. So when you break down a many-to-many relationships, that creates two one-to-many relationships. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain here. Okay, so now you are supposed to take the screen print. I'm just trying to find a better way to take it. I'll take it this way because if I take it wider towards this way, I feel like the field names will be smaller because of in the Word doc it's just limited space. Yeah, this should work. Um, Also make sure that all your field names are visible. Like in this case, like this is kind of a long field name. Just make sure all the words, the letters are visible because I've been through places where marks have been cut. So now I'm going to take the question to the next page, as I always do. So yeah, that looks better. And now we have party, which is importing the data. So as you saw, the tables are currently just they're with like the minimum infrastructure kind of. Did I show you the screen prints? Okay, so this is the screen prints with the relationship. So what I was talking was about the days available per week. That is a field. So make sure all of that is seen. So now the question is importing the data. According to the database, currently the tables are empty, right? So we're supposed to import the data from our external data file. So for that, I'm using queries. So query design. Uh, so we're importing data from the external data file. So you add that table, only that table, and change this query to another query. Table. So append to which table? So we first do the parent tables, which is the cyclist and table skill, and then finally we'll do table cyclist skill. Another thing that I wanted to mention was don't put table names in plural form like table skills or cyclist, like just put table skill singular form, because that's usually how table names are put. Such I'll make table append to table cyclist and okay. So if I save this query, I'm going to name it as append dash table cyclist. So when I'm about to run this query, I know which table will be updated. I told you guys earlier to put like the question number, but we won't be referring to the append queries in the future questions. So it's not really necessary to put the question number. And now, if you don't remember the fields in the table cyclist, you can open that table and we have cyclist ID, first name, surname, trainer ID, and level achieved. So it's going to be cyclist ID, uh, first name, then surname, trainer ID, and level achieved. Alright, so save this query and just close it. Don't run it, just first all the append queries and then run everything um in order, like first the parent tables, then the child table. So just like we did earlier, one table, make it an append query. Table name is, I'll do table skill now. Okay, also query as append table skill. And then when you refer to your table skill, you will see it's just skill ID and skill. So that is it. Save it and close it. And then make another pen query for our final table, which is table cycle skill. So we only had three uh, fields in it: cyclist ID, skill ID, and skill achieved. Right? And did I make this an append query? No. So table name would be that and okay. Yep, and then save append PVL cyclist skill. Yep, that does the job. So now I'll be running each append query one by one. So whenever you do it, you get this message. Click yes, yes, and yes. Don't open the table yet. Just do the next query as well. Okay. So now I have made three append queries, but it only shows me two, right? So usually what I do is I'll close, like press Control S for the last time, and then just um, close the database, like the access file, and then reopen it, and it will be there hopefully. It's always worked for me. Yeah, it is there. I don't know what happens, but in some computers that happens. So yeah, if that happens to you, just close your file and open it again. No problem at all. So we did two. So now we have the depend query. Okay, so now let's open each table in order. So here we have 60 records. So we had 1000 odd records in the external data. So this means that we have been able to list it down. And then we have tables. Here, there should be, oh wait, not the query. Don't run the query again, my bad. That's 19, and the case said that there are 19 skills. And then we have cyclist skill, and that should be 1140 records. That is quite a lot of records. I wonder why I'm not getting the record count. It usually shows the record count here. Sometimes for me, when it doesn't show up, I just keep scrolling. So, and then it shows up. Let me just close all, open it again. Okay, it showed finally. Thank God. Because when you're taking the screen prints for these, you're supposed to show the record count. So I just had to scroll towards the very bottom. It could happen to you as well. Just keep in mind, just scroll a bit longer, it will appear at some point. Okay, so now when taking the screen prints, so our first two tables, cyclists, just always keep one table open. Don't keep all three tables open. So I'll minimize the screen, and it's required for a minimum of 5 records. So I prefer to keep about 6, 7 records. Just not just the minimum number, but a bit extra. Uh, mm, Let me take the screen prints and show all of that together towards the end. Wait, this is not showing the record count. Let me just scroll for a bit. Okay, okay. So one table done. Then we have table skill. So in this case, the table is kind of small and it has like a very less number of fields. So I prefer showing the whole field, like the field data as well. But most importantly, just keep in mind that the record count is the most important part that you should show. Two tables done, one more table to go. Okay, so this is my current um what do you say, my current candidate template. So we're done with question 1, and these are all the screen prints, how they look like. Wow, that looks satisfying. Oops, again, record count is not there. Looks like I'll have to scroll all the way down again. Yep, and now it's working. Yep, there you 1140. Because if you don't show that count, you're going to lose the 3 marks because they just want to know whether you got tables correctly. Okay, so we're done with question one. And if you get that question one right, the probability of you getting the next questions correct is high. Like the probability of you getting it correct is high. So just make sure you give your fullest for the question one. And I feel like question one is the question that has the most number of marks allocated. I mean, there's two 9 markers, there's 11 marker. I mean, that's almost about 30 marks. So yeah. Now let's move on to question two. Screen print of your query. Okay, first of all, let's read the question. Um, Also about the last part that we did about like this the showing at least 5 records. That question, you can also include your append queries as well. I mean, it's not necessary, but like if you have extra time, like providing extra evidence will not make it unfair for you at any way. So there's no harm in doing that. So I suggest you to um do that towards the end, like if you're like done with the paper and you're like double checking the paper. If you have time, like you can put the append queries as well, like the design view of the append query. Do not append like click on append query and run the query because that will change your database completely. Just right click and go to design view of the query instead of running it. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. And wants to use a database to track the achievements of cyclists. Create a query that uses a parameter to search for a trainer, finds the cyclists that have achieved advanced level with that trainer, display only the names of the cyclists, screen print your query in design view, making sure that all required tables, fields, and criteria can be clearly seen. Okay, so use a parameter to search for a trainer, finds the cyclists that have achieved advanced level with that trainer. Display only the names of the cyclists. Okay, so now let's move on to our table, our database. Close this and let's go to create obviously query. So in this case, we will need two tables because we are searching it based on a trainer. But at the same time, we want to know the cyclists. So finds the cyclists that have achieved advanced level with that trainer. Okay, so I'm going to put table cyclist and table trainer. I'm kind of confused in this question because um, it says uses parameter search for a trainer. It can be either trainer name or trainer ID, but I feel like it's easy to enter a trainer ID, which is just a number, than typing a whole name. So let's use trainer ID. Um, the trainer ID. So that's a parameter. So under criteria, so when you say a parameter, this is where you get the user to enter a value so that those fields can be shown. So for example, if I want to know which cyclists have achieved uh, what was that level? If the user wanted to find out which cyclists have achieved advanced level with the trainer who has trainer ID number 4. So on the trainer ID field, we are going to put a criteria. So this is the way you refer to a parameter. Um, you put square brackets and you put the message that you want to show, like enter trainer ID. And then level achieved must be, so the criteria is advanced. So within double quotes, right, type advanced. And then they wanted us to show on display only the names of the cyclists. So I prefer showing full name and surname. So you can either put first name in one column, surname in another column, but I preferred putting them both together. And how do we do that? Is we are going to put cyclist name colon square bracket, within square brackets first name, then plus, within double quotes put a space. So that would be the space between the surname and the first name, and then within square brackets again surname. Just make sure that, because these are field names, just make sure that they are same as it is in the table. So save the query. So this is question 2A. And also it told us to only show the cyclist name, so untick these boxes. I prefer giving a table as well. Save it, and if you run it, it asks for a trainer ID. So if I put 4, there you go. And drag that a bit. Yeah, I mean, we didn't use trainer table at all, so you might as well remove the table. It won't make a difference because you don't have any fields referring to that table in this query. So if I run it again with trainer ID 1, there you go. Simple as that. So now they are asking, oh, right, sorry, my bad. We should have read the whole question. So I told you that I got confused whether I should use the trainer name or trainer ID. But when you look towards the end, it says screen print your query in datasheet view using test data trainer ID 4. So you know that you can't use name and it's only the ID. So yeah, maybe just read the whole question before you attempt it. Um, so here we have to first take design view. Again, so this space is used. I'm gonna bring this up here a little more closer, yeah. And yeah, just make sure that all these field names are visible and all these conditions are visible when you're taking a screen print. And also the query number. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so this is my screen print. Now you can see we have the table that we use, we have the fields that we use, we have all the conditions, criteria, and we also have the query number. Why I'm using that is in case if the examiner has a problem with your question. I'm not saying that there is a problem here, but this can happen in any question. Like if they have a doubt with your query, report, form, whatever that it is, when they see this when they see this, they know what they should refer to, which question is related to which query. So it makes it easier for them. Just take a screen print of that. All right. So keep clicking Control S, um, like I always tell you to do. Okay. And then we have data sheet. It tells us to take a data sheet view when trainer ID is 4. So enter trainer ID 4, and there we go. So here it's just 6 records. So you might as well take all 6 records with the record number as well. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is that. It went a bit down. So like I always do, I'm gonna take the question down like that. So when the question is with the screen print, I feel like, it's better readability and clarity. So that is question 2A is done. And now let's move on to question 2B. Let me close that. And now, let's first of all read question 2B. So this is one of the most complicated reports that I have come across when doing past papers. Um, well, anyways, let's do it. So Anne would like to know the names of the cyclists who achieved beginner level but did not achieve intermediate level, so that their trainers can invite them to attend the summer course. She wants to use the standard report in figure 1. This will use information from the database. So look at this. Take about 1 minute. Look at it. Figure out what fields of which tables are used in this report. First of all, you don't have to make the report. You first have to make the query for the report and take a design view, screen print of the design view, and that is 4 marks. Make sure you get this query right because your whole report is based on the query. I mean, the report has 7 marks, but that 7 marks includes things like the design. It includes things like the alignment, how the data is shown, and etc. But you won't be able to do any of that if you don't get the information properly. So first, make sure you get the query right. Okay, so you can see that this is the heading. Um, this is just a text field that we should enter manually, and then so there it's classified based on the trainer, and under the trainer we have the skills required of each cyclist. Okay, so under trainer we have, so it's like subcategories. So we have first categorized it based on trainer. So this is one trainer, this is trainer number 2. And under trainer, we have categorized the skills required again based on the cyclist. Right. Let's go here. Let's create a query design. So I'm gonna put table trainer, table cyclist. I'm basically putting all the tables at this point, but I mean, if I want to remove tables, I can remove it um, at any point that I want if it's not related to any of the fields that I have in the query. Okay, so first I'm going to take trainer name because that's their main category, and then I'm gonna take cyclist name just like I did earlier. I'm gonna take the name all together in one. So like cyclist name, um colon square bracket first name plus space plus surname. So I'm saving the query again with the question number. Um, and also I prefer when you make a field like without like not taking it directly from a table, it doesn't refer to a table, but I prefer giving a table. And then we have skills required. Okay, so now when doing this, read the question again. It says who achieved beginner level but did not achieve intermediate level, right? Um, who has achieved beginner level. So we must use level achieved, which is this one. And under criteria, we'll put beginner. So for now, if we run it, okay, as you can see, there are like repetitions. So how we do that is we go to totals and automatically group by is added. So now if we run it again, there are very less repetitions. Um, yeah. So now, so each trainer has one cyclist in beginner level. Okay. Let's go back to design view. So we again need the skill required. So if you look at the question, like if you look at the report that they have given us, there is this field called number of skills required. So that is like a calculation. It's like a count. But me personally, I prefer putting that field straight away to the report. This doesn't cut you any marks. But it's just another way of doing it. Either you can enter that field into the query itself, or you can separately generate it in the report. So I'll be separately generating it, and I'll show you how I'm doing it. And then we have skills required. Um, skills required. Okay. Okay, let's see what it looks like. So I hope you remember that second line they told us about the people who have achieved beginner level but not intermediate level. So in the case, they gave us these levels. So beginner level is number 1 to 5 and then intermediate is 1 to 13. Meaning that we only have to mention the intermediate level numbers here, which is from 6 to 13. So if I come back here, um, I mean, if you just look at this, I feel like all 19 skills are here. So we must change it to uh, the skills that they haven't done. So basically, it will be something like skill achieved criteria is no. So when you put no, don't put double quotes because no, because that's a yes no field. So it's simply no. Now if we run it again, now you can see. So earlier, like I hope you noticed, like this one person had a lot of skills required, but now it's just the skills that they haven't done. Okay. And then I'm gonna put skill ID just to mention between 6, so between 6 and 13. Yeah, and that makes it way lesser because at this point we're not trying to achieve advanced level or like finish all 19. We're just trying to get them to uh what was it? Intermediate level. I think it was intermediate. Yeah, from beginner to intermediate level, only 13 skills are needed. So that's how you figure out your criteria, and I hope I have figured out correctly. It looks correct. So this is your query. In this case, you don't have to really concentrate on like what tables you're willing to show or anything, um, because this is simply they're only asking for the design view anyways. So it doesn't matter what is shown in the doesn't matter as to what is shown there. So now let's check the screen prints. I first prefer taking these. Wait, first we should see if there are any tables that are not required. No, I think all tables are required. Okay, so as you can see, there are many fields in this query. So I prefer to take them to two different screen prints, or else it just looks too, I don't know. It's the screen print will be too small, basically. So I'll bring this here and I'll bring this up here. So I'll first take the screen print with the first three fields. If I show you my candidate template, this is the first screen print, second screen print. I'll take the rest of the fields, the second screen print. So that will come as something like this. So yeah, that should work. I mean, it looks clear because if you try to take all of these in one row, the letters will be really small. The readability uh, will not be good. So I prefer taking it in two screen prints. And I suggest you to do the same. Okay, so we're done with that question and we're supposed to make this report. Okay, and now we'll go to create. It is a report, right? Yeah. Okay. So now let's go to create. Create, I'll be using report wizard. So here I'm gonna select query to be one, all fields, next. Um, so here we're gonna be putting levels. So there's a level from trainer ID and cyclist name. Yeah, that would do. That's how you set the groupings. If you're not sure as to whether you should either add another skill ID level or something, you can add it because later on you can actually remove it. But at the same time, remember that there's a limit of putting criterias. So yeah, but don't add less because if you add less, you have to start making it from the beginning again. But if you add more, you can remove it. Next, and 2B, this is 2B2. What was the report name? Beginner to intermediate cyclist. So when I'm typing it here, I don't really keep spaces or anything. I keep it with the question number itself because when I save it, that is how it will be saved here as well. Okay, look at that. Okay, so this is currently in print preview. So here I'll come back, change these, add spaces, center align them. Also, another thing that I feel is important to do is removing the, now when you go to format here, there's this thing called alternate color. So page headers don't have it, but then each section will. Okay, so my report is not appearing here. I'll just click Control S and close this. And I'll open it again. But also, if it doesn't work again, like if you try to open it but it's not opening, I suggest you to go to Task Manager, um, search for your access, just scroll down, and then click on Microsoft Access and end task. And now try opening it again. It should work now. Yeah, and it does. It's not something that always happens with all files, but I have come across about 2 papers that always does this to me. So instead of always calling your invigilator, I think it's easier for you to go to Task Manager and Task and open it again. All right. So this was the one formatting. Now if I go to Design View, so as you can see, the headings are there. So I don't prefer keeping them in page header because it's not like we're having a few pages. So first of all, always refer to your question. So first it's beginner to intermediate cyclist, and then we have a text. So within this section itself, I'm gonna add that text. So under design, we have label, but something like this, and this. This is basically the text that they are given. This is a list of cyclists um, who failed intermediate level, who failed intermediate level. And please invite them to take part in the summer course. All right. So according to the outline they have given me, this is kind of center aligned. And then let's make the other changes. So under trainer name header, so we have trainer name, the label. I'm gonna take these a bit down too. So this comes here. So cyclist name and number of skills required are coming under the cyclist header. The cyclist name label must come here. And these are the details. So level is not necessary, so we can remove that. Skill comes here. So skill is the one that's being repeated. So that's the one that should come under details. Skill achieved is necessary. This the time and page is also not necessary. So whatever is not necessary, just remove them. So in this case, the skill label, I'll bring it up here because that is not needed to be repeated. It's just the skill that should be repeated. So if you look at the database, this is what it's gonna look like. I kind of have a problem here. I want to, so, when I showed you this format and this alternate row color, I don't know why it's not showing up, but when I mean by alternate row color, it is that, uh, you know, these colored rows. I wanted to remove it. Hmm. Well, it's not allowing me to. We'll see. Um, so and then if we look back at the paper, the design they've given us, they want us to put trainer, uh, the trainer skills required, and the trainer name must be in like a colored background. This will be skills required. Okay. I mean, according to the paper, that text is a bit italic, made a bit italic. So we're gonna make this a bit large. The font size as well. I mean, I can change the font size from the property sheet as well. Like here, it says font size 11. I'll make it 14. Yeah, that's nice. And then the border style is currently transparent. I'm making it solid, and border width, I'll make it about 2 pt. So this is how that looks. That looks nice. And then even this header is supposed to be center aligned like that, and the border again, change it from transparent to solid, and 2 pt. The trainer name, which is this one. Add those spaces that I told you all about earlier. Okay, only in labels. This is not a label. This is a label. Um, takes a bit down, and they wanted me to darken it, so I'm going to design, and I'll put a rectangle. Just put two. So now it will appear on top of them. So how I'm gonna put them back is position, send to back, and then we have Here we can change back style, back color, make it a bit gray. So even this here we can change that to back color, same as that one. So this is what it currently looks like. I don't, okay, what happened? Oh, my bad. I've mixed up the two, the, I've mixed up the label. This should be brought here and this should be brought here, simply. So now if you look at it again, yeah, this looks more like it. So yeah, this is basically the report. I wanted to remove these um, alternate row colors, but I don't know why it doesn't allow me to. So this is how you do it. So here it always doesn't. So from this drop down, it will show you a palette of colors, and at the end it will say no color. Just select that section like details or cyclist name header and alternate row color. No, just change it to no color. I don't know if it's possible. Oh, it is possible to copy sheet. Let me try, and if it works, I am more than happy. So, under details, also alternate row color, no color. Okay. Home. Oh wow, it works. Yeah, so this is what the form that they have given looks like as well. Um, so if you want, you can remove this color over here. This is like a default color that came, which can change that to simply white. So now this is almost exactly what they have given us, but don't remember to put that field that I was talking about. So I told you about at this field, number of skills required. So that is like a count of the skills required over here. So if I go back here, um, I'll be adding this, which is a text box. So it automatically corrects the label. So I'll type number of skills required. So when you're dragging this, make sure there's like this gray color little square on top. Drag it from that. And then here is going to be equals count normal brackets, and within the normal brackets put square brackets to count skill. So we are referring to this one over here. You can see that clearly. So if we go back, it should appear here. 2, 7, and 1. I don't know why I have to keep like earlier when we wanted to see the row count. I have to keep scrolling here. If I want to see the number, I have to click. I don't know if it's just me, but you just have to show your data somehow. So might as well click and scroll. So yeah, that is that. I mean, if you compare this with that one, it kind of looks the same. Not kind, it almost is the same. And also, so now if you're comparing, you might see that here I got 7, but they have 1. Um, Just keep in mind that they're not giving you the exact same report output. They're just giving you a sample one. Here it says example cyclist name, another example cyclist name. It's not the exact same data. They're just showing you the format and the design that it should be shown in. They're not showing you the exact same data. So don't try to like if you don't same output, just don't panic. You might be correct. So they're not giving the proper output. So yeah, that is done. Let's move on to the third question. Anne needs to know the percentage of cyclists who have achieved each advanced level skill. Create a query that will do this. Assume for any calculations that 60 cyclists are attempting to achieve each skill. For any calculations, that's 60 cyclists. Okay, so in the cyclist table, they had a total count of 60 records. So that's basically cyclists. Percentage of cyclists who have achieved each advanced level skill. Okay, so advanced level is from 14 to 19. Okay, so query design, we put cyclist. I think that's all we need. If we need on the table, we can add it at any point, doesn't matter. Okay. So level achieved is on the criteria that will be advanced, right? And then we'll have to put totals. Then we'll put skill. And then we run this now. There is no relationship between these two fields, so it's just showing everything. I don't think we need level achieved actually. We just need skill ID and mention criteria as between 14 and 19. That should do the trick, hopefully. And then if I read the question again, percentage of cyclists who have achieved each advanced level skill. Percentage of cyclists. Okay. And then, so when you look at this, you can see, so scale and scale ID are the same. And then we can see the cyclist IDs that have achieved that skill. So if I put a hmm, yeah, okay. So that should do. And then here we are going to put like a percentage. I'm not going to show these fields. Um, this is going to be a calculation. Here I'm gonna put count. If I look at that, okay. Okay, so we're getting count account. Okay. So we don't have to show scale ID as well because we are using scale ID to put a criteria, but we only need the scale. And then for the percentage, it's going to be an expression. Or it can be, yeah, it's going to be an expression most probably. Uh, so it will be count of cyclist ID into, so that is out of 60. So that will be like a number of cyclists into 60 over 100. So that is 60%, which can also be written as 0.6. So I'll write that straight away. Okay, that's invalid syntax. I think I should give percentage of cyclists. This is Q3A. Okay, so I'll just remove this one for the moment. And then here I'll give a name to it. Number of cyclists. So here it will be number of cyclists into 0.6. I don't know why it's not showing, but that's because we have to provide a number of cyclists. But at the same time, it is the name over here. Okay, guys, so I figured out. So I initially removed this, hoping that that would work, but no. What I did was, I got that field again, and then when I checked it, so just forget this field. Before I got this one, I took this one, and this is what I got. So you will get a field like this, but just click OK. And these values are actually correct, but that's not what you want. You need percentage. So when you get percentage, what you need to, so when I went here, I realized that this is the field name that they give. So what I did was I made a field called achievements, and I used that field name and then divided by 60 and multiplied by 100. So now I'm getting this. So click OK, just forget it. This is correct. Why we're getting hashes is that I have to limit the number of what do you say, the uh, decimal place. So to limit the number of decimal places, go to properties, format, I'll put percent. Hopefully that works. Whoa. Oh, so when you put percent, it multiplies by 100 again. So I might as well go here and remove my 100%. And yeah, so this is the correct one. Also, because you changed it to percent here, I suggest you to put a screenshot of this as well. As in, like, you can bring this down here so that they know that it's along with achievement that you made it to percentage. All right, so that's that. And I don't think they have specified the number of decimal places. Yeah, I don't think they have. So 2 decimal places should be good. Yeah, and the next one is creating a chart based on these information. So obviously the x-axis would be the skill and the y-axis would be the percentage. Um, so that is an 8-marker question. And then this 1 marker is to exporting it to a PDF. Um, that's completely easy. Um, I'll close this. Yes. Wait, close it. But sorry, not this one. I'll go to the view and make this this like that. Oh, okay, fair. So when that's not seen, they cannot give us the achievement. Okay, but in this case, you can keep it. It's not like you're gonna get your marks cut or anything, but I suggest you to put the percentage to the left side. According to the question, I mean, it requires the screen print of the design view. So it doesn't matter what you're actually showing in the form view. So this should be fine. All right, let's move on to question 3B. So question 3B requires to make this a chart. So I'll go to create. Charts are made on reports. So I'll take a blank form. So for no, not for charts. Blank forms are taken for like menus and dashboards. My bad. So for this chart, I'm gonna take report result, query 3A, correct. I'll only take skill and achievement, not the count. So this is only the percentage. Wait, no, I'll cancel this. I think it is a blank report. So sorry. Uh, yeah, so design view, and then you don't need page headers and page footers. Um, so in order to make the chart bigger, I'll put it, like expand it this way. And then here we have chart. There's nothing else that's gonna come up on your report, so might as well use the whole space. So query 3A, next. So skill, achievement, that's all. Next, this chart, correct. It says sum of achievement, right click. Okay, okay, not right click, double click, and put none. It's not sum. And next, you don't need to display a legend. It's doesn't make sense. And the chart would be you need to put it here. So cyclists who have achieved advanced level skills. That's gonna be our title. So first what I'm gonna do is I'll no. So first we're gonna double click this. When you here, when you right click, you have chart options. So under chart options, we have chart title here. I'll remove the question number, and then we have x-axis. Okay. So my report just got stuck when I was trying to put the this names. So it's basically frozen. I can't do anything about it. So again, what I'm suggesting you to do is go to Task Manager, end the task. In this case, I would also like to say that I forgot I forgot to save the report. So basically, meaning that I lost the whole report when I end task like that. So now, when opening it again, the report isn't there, meaning I have to make it again from scratch. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I'm just telling you this can happen for you as well. So whenever you make something, just make sure to save it. Um, so I'll take the blank report, design view, remove these, expand this, put a table, queries, 3A, next, next, and none, next. So legend and finish. Now save this Q3B 2, I suppose. I'll just leave it at Q3B. That is, and after I go here, chart options. So for y-axis, I'm going to put percentage of cyclists. Okay, I don't know why, but it keeps closing by itself. Um, so yeah, I'll have to go to Task Manager again. End task of Microsoft Access. Open it again. And this is why I told you to keep saving. Okay. So when I open the report, that's what it currently looks like. I want to expand this a bit more because it doesn't look very appealing like that. So now look, the reason why I didn't take the screen print yet because I wanted to add an access like the access titles and whatnot. So your computer doesn't work. This mainly depends on the type of access you're using. So my access is type of an old version. It's yeah, it's kind of an old version, and therefore that's why all these issues keep coming. If yours is like 2016, that's wonderful. That works perfectly fine. So if you get problems like this, when you are trying to add what do you say, access names, you can simply come here, design view, and add labels. Because even that will give you your output, that necessary output, right? And also another thing remember is that now this view is only given in design view, right? I mean the design view doesn't give the exact output as what you will see in the report view. So um, don't keep accessing design view a lot of times because this sometimes goes away, as in this will start showing the exact same output, and I don't think that is considered as a design view. So sometimes what I do is I already take a screen print of this, although it doesn't have the access names and whatnot, because I don't want to lose this. Um, but if you have, like, even after you put your access names, if this is still there, that's wonderful, that's great. Um, but access charts have never really been my friend. It has given me so much trouble. So this is like the one question that I would find it difficult to do. I feel like it's not a problem with the question. It's just that Access doesn't support the charts. Maybe your versions might be annoying too. But I think the 2016 version of Access is like the most perfect version. I mean, at least the charts work perfectly for me. Okay. Um, so now if we view this, we can see a few of so we are not seeing these. That's because the Okay, so this is what I mentioned earlier. It starts after you like access the design view too many times, you're losing it. So just don't. And but now what you're gonna do here is we're not gonna we can't see these um skills. So the reason is that the font type is too much or because there's bold or something like that. So this is font chart title, but I prefer um going to chart options, but not really. I'll go to format axis and then here on the font, right? I don't know if you understand, but it got stuck again. So like I showed you, um, I'll try to do this question and put it in a separate video in a different uh, access model because this is not working. I'll move on to the next question. But I will definitely do this question, redo this question and put it on YouTube um, with the proper method of doing it. So I showed you as to how you can go there. So under font, there you can change it from bold to italic. So I think currently it's bold. You can make it like normal, and then you can change the font sizes and everything so that it fits all together. So yeah, if you haven't downloaded like installed Access yet, if you are about to, I suggest you to use 2016 version. Okay, so let's move on to the fourth option, which is the dashboard. Again, so this dashboard is the one that has access to all the previous questions like the reports, the queries, the what do you say, the forms and everything. So this is where a lot of macros come in hand. And I did see some comments requesting for macros. Um, Macros is actually very simple. I mean, some of my friends, they find VBA way simpler than macros, but I'm not the type of person who prefers typing. But because when you use macros, when you're typing that a specific command, it comes with suggestions, like with a drop-down list. I find it very easy. So now I'll make the dashboard, and I'm extremely sorry for not being able to do the chart. Let me first reopen my Access. Okay, I will not be doing the chart right now, but I will be continuing the dashboard. Okay, so create, and for the dashboard also we are going to be using not a report actually. We'll be using a form. Um, so create blank form, design view. So the reason why we're not using a form is because um, in a report you don't really get to fill anything. Report is just um, it's something like that you use to analyze the data. I mean, forms are used like, in forms you can click here and there, you can enter data. A report is just showing you an output, right? So in this form, this is a dashboard. And usually, if you have checked other past paper questions, they give you a design as to what the dashboard should look like, but in this case, they haven't. So you can come up with your own design, or if you remember a design from previous year, you can use that design. That's totally fine. So I personally prefer putting a border around my dashboard, and then on in the property sheet, I am going to border style is solid, and I'll put the border width a bit thick. After all, it's like a page border, so it should be thick. And then I'll put a label saying dashboard, and then under format, I will change the back color to a bit shaded color, and then I'll change the font. The font color is called faux color. I have no idea why, but that's what they refer to as font color. I'll make it darker, then I'll make the font weight is normal. I'll change it to bold, and then I'll increase the font size to 16. Right? And then I'll center align it. Yeah, that looks good. And then I will read through the question now. So it must provide buttons that will allow her to open the data entry form you created in question 1B. So now when you can see they have referred to the question numbers, right? So if you remember, I saved each report, each form, each query with the question numbers, because I know that it will come in hand, and this is when it comes in hand. It's so easy, especially when you're creating the macros. So when they say open the data entry form you created in question 1, so this must be first a button. Okay, so I'll take you through it. So now I'll open this. On the design, we have buttons. This is an example. So you put like a button. It's not like we're putting the text inside the button. So whatever the text that is inside the button, remove it, and you put a separate label. Now this label is what's gonna tell the user what this button, by clicking this button, where you would go to. So it said the entry form in 1B. So this is my 1B entry form. Here, so it was used to register a new a trainer. So I can put that register a new trainer. All right. So, so here I use register a new trainer, but instead you can also use something like click here to register a new trainer. I think that would be better. Click here to register a new trainer. Okay, so then now we'll be using macro knowledge. So build event macro. Okay. Oh, again, like I said, change the name of this. So would be open form in brackets. I'll put 1B. That looks good. So I'll go to build event. Okay. And then it had asked us to open, yeah, simply just open form. So they haven't mentioned any way of opening the form. So open form, then form name, this, and yeah, save. You can take the screenshots now or you can take the screenshots later. Also, I stopped taking screenshots from like question 3 onwards because it's very time consuming. I feel like you guys have a clear idea as to how you should take the screenshots now. So take a screenshot now, or maybe you can finish all the macros and take screenshots all together. Either way, just make sure you get the screenshot somehow, right? And then um, that's done. So if you're not sure, again, save your form. This is question 4. Right, now what I was saying, if you're not sure if your macro is working, go to form view, click it, and you get the form. So that means it's working. It's perfectly cool. So you know that what you're doing is correct. Okay, so then we have run the query you created in question 2A. Okay, another button. Um, just make sure all the buttons are in like same size because you know that looks nice. I'll just copy this here. So here when you're mentioning this, don't write something like click here to run query 2A. I suggest you to like write something meaningful. So in that case, you can open query 2A. Uh, so okay, now I remember it was to find cyclists of a specific trainer who, okay, click here to find cyclists who achieve advanced level of each trainer, right? I mean, I remember the question, that's why I just kept on typing. If you don't remember the question, you can refer it back. Um, and then, so we have to build a macro, build event, macro. Why do I keep forgetting this? Change the name here, open, sorry, yeah, open query to a, yeah, just a name that will make sense to you and the examiner when he marks your paper. So this would be open query. See, this is what I was talking about. Unlike VBA, when you're like typing the first few letters, so you can even use the drop down if you don't remember. But yeah, I mean, it's easy. So if it's to refer to a query, it's open query. If it's a form, it's open form. If it's a report, it's open report. It's simple as that. So here you're going to select 2A and you're done. And here, if they have told you to like show it in a specific way, like it should be in design view, print preview, you can select that. But here they haven't mentioned, so save it and close it. And then they have asked us to, we did this one, we did this one. Print the report you created in question 2B2. Okay. So when doing this question, be careful because you might end up actually printing your report like after I don't suggest you to like test it out like you would test the others like open form or anything. Um, but yeah, let's do the query. Sorry, let's do the macro here. Oh, sorry, that wasn't a button. Uh, yeah, okay. Click here to print report of cyclists who have achieved beginner level but not intermediate level. Well, yeah, that looks good. And now let's create our macro. Again, my bad, the name. What was this? Print report to be true. Okay. Build event macro. Wait, not print object. It is print object, but it should let me select the object in the first place. Okay, so earlier, if you remember that previous question that I didn't do, the chart question, the last part of it was to export it as a PDF, right? So how you do that is, well, I'll do that here because I feel like it's a very important one. So that will be, so print object is what you use to print it. Export with formatting. So you just type E and X, the rest just comes along. So here you get to select what it is, whether it's a form. I mean, in that case, that was a report as it was a chart. And then object name, you can select 3B and yeah. Okay, I feel like this you can use this to print as well because here you can select whether it's print or just screen. So right now I prefer screen because I don't want it to print actually. But because they asked you to print it, you might as well select print. All right, so save that and close it. Done with 3 macros so far. And the next macro would be view the chart you created in 3B1. View, okay. So again, that's just open report simply. Design button. I won't suggest you to put the text inside the button because that will make the button so massive. I mean, we've all seen buttons, they're kind of small. So put um, just an external label like this instead of putting a massive button. Oh, sorry, click here to view chart. I'm just gonna put that you can put any caption that suits. Build event. Okay. Okay, I feel like now even you might be blaming me. How can I keep forgetting this so many times? So I'll put open chart, build event, macro, and open, I think it was a report. Wait, but they said 3B1. View the chart you created in 3B1. Let me refer the question again before I do anything wrong. So 3B, okay, so we made the chart in 3B1, right? So previously we printed it and now we're just viewing it. So it's 3B, view and report view. So this would do, right? Yeah, so that's that. So when you click this, you go there, you click here, yeah, that works. I'm not gonna click this, and then click here to view chart. Yeah, so that's done. And then also make sure to take a screen print of your form. So now when you look at the question, it says take a view of the a screen print of the form view and the design view. So make sure you do that. So now I feel like it's time to give the final touches to the dashboard. I mean, it looks pretty good. Now if we come here, yeah, it actually looks good. But I prefer putting all this in like a more darker text. Yeah, that looks better for me. Yeah, that is it. So now when you're taking the screen print of this as well, make sure to minimize the screen and take this count. So whatever the screen prints you take, make sure that your count is there. Simple as that. All right. So we are done with the practical questions. And the last question is a 9-marker writing question. So as you can see, there are only 3 marks for this question. Sometimes there are dashboard questions with like, I don't know, 6 marks, 8 marks, where it depends on what you have to do. Well, because this is just 3 marks, don't spend a lot of time on this because there is a possibility you can score more in these 9-mark questions than just 3 marks. I mean, make sure that you get it right by adding proper captions and opening proper macros and whatnot. But I'm telling you is to like keep practicing so that you know you're more familiar with the mouse clicks, you're more familiar on like you don't take a lot of time to decide, okay, what do I do, which function? Like, it comes like water to your mind. So keep practicing simply. Okay. Now this is a 9-marker question again, the last question of the paper. I know that it's pretty tiring by the time you get to this question. So me personally, when I do papers, uh, I don't actually like to write a lot, and I'm not the type of person who prefers to like keep typing on paragraphs and paragraphs. And after about 3 hours of doing practicals, honestly, who is in the right mind to do it? So what I personally used to do was I would go through like all my candidate template, like throughout my whole candidate template, and look at the things that I've done. It's like basically I'm appreciating myself for doing all of that hard work. Like, I don't know, if you're someone who puts all your heart and soul into it, you just given your best in that paper, and you know that okay, this is like my final paper, final IT paper. And I have done all of this. I kind of feel proud about myself when I look at all of that. So for me, after I get that genuine joy, I kind of have like a bit more of a kick to do this final question. Okay, you know what? I've done this paper so far, I've done it well. This is the final question, and I'm going to give my best to that question as well. This is just the way I do it. I don't know if it'll work for you, but I hope it does. But if you're not tired at this point, I appreciate you a lot. Okay, so final question. Anne intends to offer the cycling courses throughout the year. Figure 2 shows an extract of the course data she intends to use. Okay, yeah, you can pause the video, look at the data, you can compare it with what we had in the database. Did we have all these fields? Did we have all of this type of information? Did we have all of these tables, right? And then analyze why the present database structure may not allow her to record or generate the course data shown in figure 2. Recommend how the database structure could be modified to allow her to record or generate the course data shown. Okay. Now, if we compare this with our current database, do we have, so the first table, let's take it, the course. Do we have a course start date and end date? We do have trainer and we do have level. So think about it. And then the second table, we have skill ID, description. That's totally fine. We have that. And then we have cyclists. We have 4 new cyclists. So cyclist ID, first name, surname. We have that. Date of birth and age. That was not there. And then we have parental consent and school consent. Even that was not there. All right, so let's move on by one by one. So first we have course start date, course end date, trainer, and level. So for this, I feel like you will need a separate new table, right? Because we have a trainer table, we have skills table, but we really don't have a course table, right? I mean, you can't put course start dates, end dates within a trainer table because it says that one trainer can train more than one cyclist, meaning that they can train different cyclists in different levels, like who are in beginner levels, who are in intermediate level. So in this case, we'll have to make a new table called table course that will have a course ID. It will have trainer ID as a foreign key, and then it'll have level and also have the course start date and end date, right? And in that case, we should also update our cyclist table because according to the case, one cyclist has one trainer. That's correct. But right now, they're not being assigned to a trainer. They will be assigned to a course instead. I feel like that's what's going to happen. Let me read the question again. Offers cycling courses throughout the year. So yeah, they won't be assigned to trainers, they will be assigned to courses. So one cyclist will be in one course. One course will have many cyclists. So that's like a one-to-many relationship, right? Um, Yeah, yeah. So then we'll have to make so one table will be made with just the course information, course ID, trainer ID, start date, end date, and level. And then we will make a child table using the 2 parent tables which are table cyclist and table course. So we'll assign each cyclist to a course. Why we're doing this is because so one course can have many cyclists, so that's 1-to-1. And obviously, after they achieve one level, some cyclists may prefer to move on to the next level as well. So that means one cyclist will have many courses over the, like, as time goes, they will take many courses as well. So that's like a many-to-many relationship, and that's why I thought to take it to a different table called table cyclist course. So now when you're writing your answer, I suggest you to write it with this kind of structured and labeled method. Like, just don't say make a child table using these two parent tables. You can mention the child table's name, like it's table, cyclist, course. I mean, anyone who reads it then understands it really well. Then mention what the primary key is, mention if it's a foreign key or if it's a composite key, and what are the fields that will be coming under it. Is there a different type of data type? So yeah, that's how you're gonna answer the course section of this question. Then we have course skills. This is already what they have in the skills table. So skills table is perfectly fine. There's no changes to be done. And then in the cyclist table, mention that there are already existing three fields here, which is cyclist ID, first name and surname. No problem about it. Date of birth, age, parental consent, and school consent must be added to the database. So basically, date of birth must be entered, and date of birth also mentioned because it's a new field that it's being entered, what the data type is. So it will be date, time, data type, and then so when data type is being manually entered, date of birth is being manually entered, the age can be calculated so that every year the database manager or whoever does not have to keep updating the age. So make the age field a calculation from the date of birth where you subtract the date of birth from the current date and get it from years. So that works. You don't have to say the calculation, just say that it can be a calculation using the date of birth so that it doesn't have to be updated every single year by the database manager. Simple as that. Right? And then parental consent and school consent are the next two fields that should be added. They also should be yes, no fields. As we can see, it is ticked. So yeah, if it's ticked, it means that they have consent. If it's not, it means they don't have consent. So with these new changes to the database, they will be able to enter these new data, um, and they can generate the course data shown. So basically, that's how you're going to approach your question. So as I mentioned earlier, like in the previous 9 marker, first you mention the problem, then you mention the suggestion, like what can be done to overcome that. So that is the end of the paper. That is 80 marks. So yeah, if I am planning to do more Unit 4 papers, and I saw all of your comments. Thank you so much. That's what keeps me going. That's what makes me want to video and record more videos. Thank you so much for all your support. And I will definitely do the chart question. So yeah, good luck to all of you with exams. I really hope this video helps you. And yeah, just let me know if this helped or not, and if there are any specific years of past papers that you would like me to do. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.